Today's topic, I'm going to discuss annuity surrender charges. Why are they important to understand? And then if you're looking to ever surrender an annuity account, how to make sure that you're not falling victim to common mistakes. Or if you're looking to replace an annuity account, how to make sure that you're covering what that surrender charge might be. Or even leveraging this sort of solution or this sort of strategy of understanding annuity surrender charges for your benefit on something known as a dollar cost averaging strategy, so you're able to pull out free withdrawals and then invest those free withdrawals into something that might be riskier, into the market, so that you're not basically risking everything all at once, but you're basically taking these slivers each and every year. So to get started, based on the type of annuity that you have, you could set up your monies into a fixed annuity, meaning that you're going to be receiving a fixed interest rate. And this could range anywhere between like a 3-year term, a 5-year term, a 7-year term. I believe they go up to about 10-year terms. Typically, the sweet spots on these right now are sitting around the 5-year and the 7-year term. So what I mean by that is there's a decreasing surrender schedule that's set up in there. So like if you, let's say you went with a 5-year product, maybe that might give you a 3% fixed rate of return every year versus a 7-year product might give you 3.5% rate of return every year. So the longer that you're leaving your money subject to an annuity surrender charge or so some sort of restriction will be, there's an incentive there to say, okay, well, at least I'm going to be getting a 0.5% higher or 1% higher. So this is where somebody would go place their money in there, understand that they're getting a fixed interest rate, that they leave it in there for that specific length of time. After that fixed time frame has surpassed, then they could take their principal back out and walk away with their dollars, or roll it or transfer it into the next related type of account. So with that situation where individuals make the mistake is they think, okay, I'm getting a 3% rate of return. I'm in a 5-year fixed annuity. I'm going to get my first 3% and I'm just going to cancel my policy or cancel my account. And that's a very wrong thing to do. Reason being is because you have something known as a decreasing surrender schedule that might be in there. And the insurance company, it's all about a risk versus return aspect. So they know if somebody's set up in a 5-year product or a 7-year product that they have to leave their monies in there for that a length of time. So if, let's say, somebody goes and places their money into a 5-year product, and simply put, maybe the first year there's a 5% surrender penalty if somebody fully removes those dollars between years 0 through 1. Maybe it's a 4% surrender penalty from years 1 through 2. Maybe it's a 3% surrender penalty from years 2 through 3. Then maybe it's another 3% surrender penalty from years 3 through 4. And then maybe the last year from years 4 through 5. If you fully surrender your money, you're going to get dinged with a 2% surrender penalty. So the longer that you're leaving it in there, the more favorable your surrender charge would be. But ultimately, like whenever I educate somebody on annuities and annuity plans, it could be fixed annuities, it could be fixed index annuities, whatever that is understand how it works and understand that you don't want to just place monies in there, dabble with that account, and then try to fully remove those dollars. You want to use it exactly as it's designed. So if you're using it for a 5-year plan, use it for a 5-year plan. Make sure that you're getting set up with the best possible 5-year plan or 7-year plan or 10-year plan or whatever that is. Because if, let's say, you just completely disregarded how the surrender penalty works and you threw $100,000 in, you get 3% the first year of interest, you get 3% the second year of interest, and all of a sudden you're in between years 2 and 3, and you decide, hey, I'm going to fully remove my monies from that account. Well, then you're going to get dinged with a 3% surrender penalty, which is a negative that's coming off of your account. So this is the first thing to really understand is if you have $100,000 that you're looking to invest, but you're saying, hey, out of this 100,000, I feel like I want to start touching about 50 grand of this, and I feel like I'm going to do that within the next 5 years. Well, then maybe only put $50,000 into the best 5-year account, so you have your other $50,000 that's liquid. It's just a very simple move, but individuals will get hung up on the nice shiny object, and advisors really try to push that nice shiny object. Hey, if you invested the whole thing, you're going to get this much rate of return, when in reality, that might not be what's suitable for the individual. And the same concept works based on whichever annuity product that you're trying to use. So let's say if you have a fixed index annuity and you're looking at purely a growth play and you had like a 10-year surrender schedule on there, well, that would mean that you'd have higher surrender penalty if you try to remove all your monies within the first year. First year 2 might be a little bit less, year 3 might be a little bit less, et cetera, all the way to the 10 years. So that means if you fully remove your monies After 10 years, you would not get dinged with an annuity surrender charge with that, hypothetical example. Or let's say if you had a 7-year product, well, then any time after that 7th year, you're not going to get dinged with the surrender penalty on that sort of product. So you're using it exactly as designed. You know that, okay, you're leveraging it as a growth play. The reason why you're going in a 7-year or 10 years because that's going to give you a higher potential rate of return than a 5-year or a 3-year or a 6-year, whatever that case might be. So that's why somebody would leverage that type of component. So just be mindful that if you try to fully remove your dollars, you could get dinged with a surrender penalty on that, and that could obviously be a large negative. Now the other aspect where somebody maybe they got set up in the wrong product line and they didn't realize it until year 3, as an example, and let's say they put in 100,000 and they thought that they were going to have, like a fixed index annuity. The concept of a fixed index annuity is that it's going to give you gains when the market goes up, gains 0% whenever the market goes down, which sounds great. But if you're in a shitty product, excuse my language, what I mean by that is, let's say if your cap rate on that crappy product is a 1% cap and it's tied to an S&P 500 index. So what this means is, let's say if the S&P 500 gains 20% the first year, then loses 10% the second year, then gains 30% the third year, then loses 5% the fourth year, and then it gains 5% the fifth year. What is the credit on this crappy 1% cap? And it would say, okay, the S&P. So take a step back. Logically, yes, this account will gain when the market goes up, gain 0% whenever the market goes down. That sounds great, rainbows and butterflies, but in reality, it's a crappy product because after the first year, you would have gained 1%. Because the market gained 20%, you would have only gained 1. The second year when the market went down, you would have gained 0. The next year when the market went up 30%, you would have only gained 1%. The fourth year when it lost 5%, you would have gained 0. And the fifth year when it gained 5%, you would have only gained 1%. So you would have stayed into this plan for 5 years, and you would have only had a positive 3% gain total into this account. So, and these contracts exist, and it's very, very bad. So, like, whenever we come across that, where someone's like, "Yeah, I don't understand why my thing's not growing. The market did well, and the person told me I was going to gain when the market went up, and not lose when the market goes down." And we look underneath the hood and we say, "Okay, in this scenario, what were your goals? Were you still trying to get good growth or max growth from this plan?" What's your surrender schedule? So maybe they're sitting in year 3 and they're in a 3% surrender penalty. But if we go and we replace this, we could get something that will have a much higher cap limit. Maybe it would be an uncapped index, or a 12% cap, as an example, that would be set up for a 7-year product or a 10-year product. And they'll also give them a 5% bonus from day one. By doing that replacement, they're going to have a positive 2% on what the monies are that's being replaced, because they're getting dinged with the 3% surrender, but they're gaining a 5% bonus. So they would already have a positive 2% from day one on there, and then they would be getting set up in that more favorable product that's specific to their needs. If they're 7 years out or 10 years out from retirement, or when they want to start accessing those dollars. So that might be a reason to replace an account. Or if, let's say, somebody got set up in a hybrid annuity, and let me just clear off the screen. This happens constantly, where somebody would be set up with a fixed index annuity with an income rider, and the advisor explained it to them that they have an income rider roll-up rate of 7%, and the advisor saying, "Oh no, you're going to gain 7% on your money every year," which is a lie. It's just blatantly a lie. And when somebody's looking at their accounts a few years in, and they realize that their physical money grew from 100,000 is now only sitting at 101,000, but they have this benefit base that's sitting at 121,000. They're thinking, oh, this benefit base is actually their real money, and that's not the case. So this is where somebody might do a replacement, and they say, okay, well, what's my options? If, let's say, I fully remove these dollars, if I take away the 101, maybe I'm going to get dinged with a 5% surrender penalty, but I like the concept of receiving lifetime income, or I don't want to receive lifetime income from this. I just want a safe accumulation account. What would be some solution? So maybe there might be a replacement to, if you're going to get dinged with the 5% surrender, maybe you might get a 6% bonus, or so you're still netting a positive from when you're making that replacement. And then that, by doing the replacement, it has to make mathematical sense. It has to give you some sort of benefit to replace a product. You can't just replace something and go into an inferior product. So that's where this is for the individual that either is just in such a bad product that it makes mathematical sense to surrender it altogether and place those monies into something else, whether that's another annuity product or you're placing it into the market, whatever that is. A replacement product would be if you're going from an annuity account to an annuity account, and you're just trying to upgrade, what your current, whether that's an income play or an accumulation play or a fixed rate of return play, really whatever that case is, there could be better solutions there. So that's what really, focuses in on these first two parameters that I'm mentioning regarding, things to be mindful of in an annuity surrender charge. The third technique is a little bit more advanced, but the concept, makes sense. And let's say if somebody is completely terrified of the market because the market's been volatile as all heck since December, the market's been going down and just kind of dancing all over the place, and somebody is a conservative investor, but they still want to participate a little bit in the market. A strategy might be, okay, I have $100,000. I'm just going to keep using that $100,000 example. And let's say they want to go into a safe accumulation account. And let's just say this is a 10-year surrender schedule. But with this account, they're allowed to pull out free withdrawals. Now, typically, all annuities allow you to have some sort of free withdrawal access. So some carriers, they allow you to say you get access up to 10% of whatever you placed into that plan. Other carriers say you get access up to 10% per year of whatever your account balance is sitting at. So it really just depends upon the company, depends upon that type of account. But let's just say that a company is allowing somebody to say, okay, you could place $100,000 into a fixed index annuity. We have uncapped indexes that are set up in here, meaning that whatever the market gains or whatever those indexes gain, you're going to get 100% of whatever that interest credit is. So your money's going to be safe, preserved, protected. It's going to gain when the market goes up, gain 0% whenever the market goes down. But this person wants to be a little bit more aggressive with their monies. So they, in this example, they put $100,000 with a 10-year product, and they have a 10% free withdrawal on the monies that they placed in there. So what somebody could do is ultimately leave 100,000, wait each year for them to get an interest credit gain in there, and then take $10,000 out of their account and throw that into the market. So basically go into an aggressive play. Maybe that's you're setting up like a Schwab account or a Fidelity account, and you're throwing this into low-cost ETFs and say, okay, I'm just going to basically, after year one, I'm going to take 10 grand out. I'm going to throw that into the market. After year two, I'm going to take 10 grand out, throw that into the market. After year three, I'm going to take 10 grand out, throw that into the market. So then after all 10 years are done, all 100,000 that you originally started, that's going to come out of your annuity account. But maybe off of the interest that you gained on this annuity, maybe you still have an extra 50 grand of interest that's sitting there. So then after these 10 years, you could still take this now 50,000 that gained in interest plus the 10,000 that you siphoned out of it to invest that into the market. Maybe this 100 grand grew to another 150 grand. And what you did was you didn't leave all 100,000 to chance. You did a dollar cost averaging strategy where you were placing slivers into the market at certain set intervals to make sure that as the market's going volatile, you're essentially able to buy low, sell high, or basically buy lower, or make sure that you're splicing that up rather than trying to time the market. By throwing the full 100,000 in there. So that's just a little bit of a technique. Review this section because if that sounds confusing anyway, just please make sure to review that because it could be very effective. Or if you have specific questions and you want to speak to a specialist, just reference this video and ask to speak directly with a specialist. Call a 1-800 number 1-800-566-1002, or you could visit our website at fosseyfinancial.com or retiresharp.com, and you'll see our digital calendar pop up to speak with somebody. So I hope that all three of these mechanisms make sense. That would be the main reason why somebody could leverage if they're already set up an annuity account, they're looking to get set up an annuity account. This is how you could really utilize it to your benefit, making sure that you still have, even though you might have restricted liquidity, how you could make sure to leverage that restricted liquidity to maybe those free withdrawals, meaning that as you're pulling these monies out, those dollars, like that 10% as an example, that's not going to be subject to a surrender penalty. Typically, the surrender charge or the surrender penalty is going to be set up when somebody tries to fully remove their dollars. More of the internal mechanisms of that is anytime you get set up with a plan, understand that you're probably going to have a decreasing surrender schedule. And this is how the insurance company makes money, because they want to make sure that somebody's not just using their account and then they're trying to just remove all their dollars and it's going to screw over the company. It's going to screw over all the existing policy holders or account holders in there. So it's the law of large numbers. It's basically using the general accounts and using long-term bonds on how these insurance companies stay profitable. In order to be able to stay profitable, is they have to use the math involved to say, okay, somebody's going to be staying in here for at least 5 years or at least 10 years, and if they try to mess with us, we're going to screw them over with a surrender penalty. So, make sure that if you're dealing with an advisor, you're asking all those details with how that decreasing surrender schedule works, and then whether that might be a viable solution, or whether you should put less dollars into that annuity account and leave some more dollars more liquid. Case in point, let's say if somebody has 300,000 of monies that they want to invest, they like the concept of a fixed index annuity, like a naked fixed index annuity or a hybrid annuity or whatever that is, and maybe they want to put 100,000 towards a safe accumulation FIA, fixed index annuity. They want to put $100,000 towards a hybrid related annuity, and then this last 100,000 they're not really sure, because they're saying, hey, if I need this for an emergency, or maybe I want to kind of invest this in the market, what should I do with it? They could always just leave those monies on the sidelines and not even leverage an annuity, because by placing it into the annuity, you have to know the pros, you have to know the cons. Part of the cons are that decreasing surrender schedule. Also, another thing is this bonus. So bonuses sound great, but in reality, bonuses could be a teaser rate. So like as an example, let's say if somebody's in a product that's going to give you a 5% bonus, but their cap rates are at 3%, versus another company that's giving you no bonus, but their cap rates are sitting at 15%, which one's a better product? Well, it all depends. Are these indexes identical? If, let's say, you have identical indexes and the index, gains 10% the first year, then it loses 20% the second year, then it gains, 16% the third year. Well, already in this example, you would, if you threw 100,000 in there, you would have 105,000. You would gain 3% interest the first year, 0% interest the second year, 3% interest the third year. So this would have only made, if we include this 5% plus 3% plus 3%, would be 11% total interest, versus this account that had no bonus would have gained 10% the first year, 0% the second year, and then because the cap was 15, you'd gain a 15% the third year. So this would have 25% positive gains into this account with just the first 3 years in there. So that's the thing, is this little bonus is a teaser rate. And then also sometimes whenever you have a bonus, you have something known as a bonus recapture. So not only do the insurance companies ding you with a surrender penalty, but they might also ding you with a bonus recapture to say, okay, yes, we gave you that 5% bonus, but if you fully remove your monies within the first 7 years or within the first 10 years, we're going to take away that bonus, or we're only going to allow you to keep 2% of that bonus. So that's where, you just have to be very careful with when you're setting up an account, and don't get fixated on how, lovely that bonus looks. If it's a crappy product, but it's a good bonus, it might not be worth it to go into that product. The final two things that I touched up on are your small cap limits, and then also restrictions on your account. So obviously you want something that will give you a good growth potential. Be mindful, any sort of annuities, if you're looking at like the safe accumulation, like the fixed or the fixed index related annuities, those aren't going to be able to compete with the market. So like whenever you're looking for a growth strategy, well, you leverage the best growth related tool, just like individual tools in a tool belt. If you're trying to say, okay, I want to have max growth, well, then that's something that you could leverage towards investments. If you're trying to leverage something that's safe accumulation, and you say, hey, I'll panic if the market goes down, well, then maybe you might want to utilize, a fixed index annuity, but something that has higher cap limits. So something that could range anywhere between about 3% on the low end, 7-8% on the high end, average rate of return per year. This is going to be your nice parameters. This is going to be your consistent side within these accounts. It's not going to be like with you invest your money in the market, where you're going to get, a 30% rate of return in a given year, or 33% rate of return, but then the next year could lose 15%, could lose 20%. So that's where, you just have to understand where each interval is. You have to stick to your lane and maximize whatever you're trying to accomplish. So just like if you're trying to use income, well, then leverage the top income related product, the type income related account. That might be something with an income rider, such as an annuity, versus if you're trying to leverage growth and really maximize your accumulation to leave as a type of inheritance play, well, maybe that might be more towards those investments, because investments, when someone's trying to leverage investments as a type of income play, it's counterintuitive. You're subject to a sequence of returns risk. You're subject to something known as reverse dollar cost averaging, which could liquidate your accounts very quickly and force you to go back to work because you'd run out of monies. So that's where, it might make sense to have some sort of lifetime income stream, some sort of mechanism that will produce that sort of safety net, of cash flow that will, accomplish where your expense need is for that year throughout retirement or multiple years into the future throughout retirement. Um, and that's where, obviously this is a lot of information, but at the end of the day, it's analyzing what your current situation is. And if you are set up on an annuity plan right now, does it make sense to surrender? Does it make sense to replace it? Does it make sense to get a different one altogether? And that's where we come in and we have specific mechanisms in place to help you run those annuity stress tests. So we have an entire case design team where we could go look at your situation. We could see what the numbers are, see what if you have any sort of rider fees or different charges or small cap limits, all of that. Analyze your current account, ask you a slew of questions to figure out what your goals are, and then look at the top solutions or strategies. That might be a point that you cannot replace that account, or it might be better to just surrender it altogether because by staying in that account, you're going to be losing to opportunity costs that you could get into other related accounts, or it might just make mathematical sense to stay where you are because maybe the account that you thought was bad is the best thing out there and would accomplish your goals. So maybe you just need to have that second opinion to say yes, what you're doing is correct and there's nothing else out there that could actually put you in a better situation. So if you're interested in having a conversation, feel free to give our 1-800 number a call. It's 1-800-566-1002. And just reference this video, annuity surrender charge. You can also visit our website, retiresharp.com or fossilfinancial.com, and set up an actual calendar appointment that works best with your schedule. And just put in the notes section of what sort of things that you want to see. And we'll make sure that somebody is set up for that exact time frame to give you a call. We do either phone call, we do Zoom calls, some face-to-face based on your area. So, and I hope you guys found some value in this, took little nuggets, golden nuggets from there. And feel free to, hit the like button, subscribe to this YouTube channel, Retire Sharp, so you have access to the most updated videos. And, leave any comments that you have, and we'll be sure to try to respond the best that we can. Thank you so much.